I'm just saying stuff, man. I'm just saying words. So just back from lunch, I thought we could jump in and run through the shop and talk about our cut and sew operations. So with the tent manufacturing, that's one component of the camper where we do everything from raw goods through to the finished product. So we're totally vertical on the cut and sew side of our operation. And that's really driven by necessity. We just couldn't find manufacturing partners that could support us. And so we kind of had to build the whole thing from the ground up. To get there, we bring in roll goods. We consume them pretty quickly as we bring them in, so we don't carry a large inventory. We'll catch a delivery and then pretty quickly land it on the shelf, pull it off, run it through. This is our CNC cutting tool. It's made by a company called Zund. You can see it's loaded up. It's a conveyor table, so we can put a roll down here on these rollers, and as Santiago advances the table, that gantry will move across it and cut this field, drag everything back, cut the next field. That allows us to kind of batch cut 14 tents at a time is how the layout worked out to maximize the yield off of the fabric. So he's running a batch of gray tents through right now. The machine aligns itself to the edge of the fabric, and then the layout space with an offset there. The tool's got a couple of cutting modules that you can change different tools in and out of and do a bunch of different operations with it. So we run it close to full time for production, and we hold some space for prototyping and other kind of applications that you can use it for. I love this tool so much. I could watch it run like just all day long. Thanks, Santiago. Hey, bird. So as Santiago cuts parts over on the Zund and kits them, those parts come over here and they live on these shelves where this team who actually does the sewing and takes the parts and turns them into the assemblies that eventually turn into the tent, pulls off the shelf kind of as needed, sews subcomponents which land back on the shelf, and then over here is an artist taking those subcomponents and building up the door panels. So there's the screen door assembly and then the vent assembly. That's a head wall in process. Over here, Harper's taken those pieces and he's put the corners on. We've got a tent here that's probably 95% done, and he's now prepping the skirt, which is the part that creates the weatherproofing. So a lot of the process is kind of getting it to a stage, then prepping it with tape and getting all of the parts aligned. And once that's been accomplished, running the whole thing through the sewing machine to put the stitches in to hold it all together. So we use these Juki walking feet machines. Work with the heavy canvas that we use to build the tents. But one of the reasons we chose this material is that if we're using the right needle and thread combination, the right size needle and the right size thread, it allows us to create weatherproof seams without any secondary processes. It's been used for a long time in kind of like canvas wall tents and boat awnings and other industries. That's been working really well for us, and it allows us to hire really awesome people like Asnarda and Harper who can jump in and run the sewing machine and put together these tents. Is that a massage chair?
Yeah.
Oh my God. It is good in the sewing department. This is a product called Venture Tape. There's a few brands out there, but it's a double-sided tape, and what it does is you can essentially use it to align parts, and then if you run your seam through it, the combination of the right needle size, the right thread size, and the gumminess of the tape creates a highly weatherproof seam. We're not really building a waterproof product, we're more managing drainage and keeping water off. It's a pretty proven technique to create an adequately weatherproof seam. The fabric that we make our tents with is called Top Gun. It's made here in America. It's a 9-ounce polyester substrate fabric that's then treated with acrylic to give it its weather resistant characteristics, highly abrasion resistant. Because it doesn't get its weather resistance through a laminated layer, like a lot of fabrics will have a TPU laminated to the backside. All of those laminate fabrics, I think there's high potential for those to delaminate over time, and because this is just one solid product, there's really no potential for it to delaminate. So that's what drove the choice on the Top Gun. So this is Keter. Essentially, this is a stitchable flange. This is designed to engage into our extrusion. So once the tent's sewn to it, obviously creates a nice continuous engagement with the clamshell. So this is a finished tent that's ready for installation. You can see how much of the table it takes up. So you really do need a big sewing surface to manipulate these things. And then we've got the bungee cords here that are inserted in this Velcro seam to bring the front end of the tent in as you close it. That's all done during the sewing assembly. All the vents are prepped. The Batten system is installed. So this thing's totally ready to go over to Micah Station and get installed in the tent.
Is that tent ready to go?
It's ready, buddy.
Alrighty.
Here you go. So Micah right now is running the heater into the heater rail that's integrated into the extrusion. So the whole tent slides in that way. So that feeds on through to its final position. There's kind of an entry point in the extrusion here. So he's sending the other side, we call this part the bow tie, the part of the tent that's in the front of the wedge, and when it's open, it's shaped kind of like a bow tie. So when the bow tie's in, then he'll jump in and throw in the main section with the door panels in it. The main panel and the bow tie come together at this big 2-inch Velcro seam. All right. So that's bow tie installed. Now he's putting in the main panel. It's the same process. He's just fed it into that corner. He's gonna come across and down and then come back and catch the third wall. I'm honestly just looking busy. Micah doesn't need me to do this at all. He does this solo all day, every day. But I like to think I'm helpful. That looks about good, Micah? Yeah. In the ballpark? Yeah. I'm just gonna stand around now. From here, Micah will release it so that the gas springs open it all the way, and then it's just a matter of kind of tuning up the Velcro and getting the fine adjustments in place and lacing those bungee cords up to the crossbar in there so that the sidewalls are under a little bit of elastic tension. But that's a tent. Yeah. Looks good, man. These are the battens. This is what we've all been waiting for. So that's a fiberglass batten. It's actually manufactured up in Hood River. They're made by a company called RBS up in Hood River. They're designed for high performance sails. So they're like super durable. So Micah's putting the batten into the valence system there. The rainfly springs out when you tighten the straps that are attached to the ends of the batten. And it creates space between the vent and the rainfly so you can have nice airflow, but still have, still have shelter if it's rainy outside. So there the batten's been activated. So that's how we make our tents at Super Pacific. Let us know if you have any other questions, anything else you'd like to know.